Obviously knew that they would end up in LA because that was Meghan's dream. Her dream was to be an A-lister, and she was unable to make it to those two. Go over there. Not her race is not discernible by the eye. If she walked in, you would never say Meghan Markle is a black woman.
And I mean that, and I'm saying heartfelt, just so you know. That is the best case scenario, is that Harry is a victim of his own stupidity.
Stop everything. You're not going to believe what just happened at a private dinner in London. Picture this. Exclusive crowd, Mayfair restaurant, the kind of place where secrets get traded like currency. Sarah Ferguson's sitting there. You know, Fergie, the Duchess, who's seen it all and lost it all. And she leans forward with this look on her face and drops a comment about Meghan and Andrew that made the entire room go silent. Yeah, someone dropped a fork. The laughter died mid-breath because everyone in that room understood exactly what she just implied. This wasn't gossip. This was a grenade rolled across the table with a smile. Here's the thing. Before Meghan ever wore a tiara or held Harry's hand at royal events, her world looked completely different. We're talking yacht parties off the Mediterranean coast, private islands, the kind of gatherings where Hollywood dreams meet billionaire reality.
Only perception survives. Soon, old photos began resurfacing, grainy shots from luxury boats, unidentified.
And according to whispers that refused to die, she knew exactly how to work those exclusive rooms. But how did a girl from Deal or No Deal end up in the same circles as Prince Andrew? Then get introduced to Prince Harry by the one woman the royals tried to forget. Get this, it all connects through one person nobody talks about. And that dinner comment, it wasn't random, it was calculated, deliberate, and perfectly timed to remind everyone that Fergie might not have a crown anymore, but she's still got the matches. And she just struck one. Before we get into how deep this really goes, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications, because what's coming next is absolutely insane. Drop a like if you're ready to see how all of this connects. Trust me, you're not going to believe where this story leads. So let's set the scene properly.
Controversy. With a long history of ruffled feathers, one of her latest public attention grabs has been in the form of supporting polar.
It's a quiet night in London, but inside this private dining room in Mayfair, the atmosphere's absolutely electric. We're talking royal-adjacent crowd here, the kind of dinner where you get invited, not where you just show up. It's exclusive, discreet, and the kind of place where one wrong word becomes tomorrow's headline. Sarah Ferguson's there, Fergie, the Duchess of York, who went from royal fairy tale to royal outcast and somehow clawed her way back. She's sitting at that table with this knowing smile, the one that says she's holding cards nobody else can see. And here's where it gets crazy. She leans forward, voice low but sharp enough to cut through every conversation in the room. And she says something about Meghan and Andrew that makes everyone freeze. Because when Fergie talks about someone being introduced to Andrew back in those yacht days, everyone knows exactly what she's referencing.
There's always been a strange parallel between Sarah Ferguson, Duchess of York, and Meghan Markle, Duchess of Sussex.
The room goes dead silent. A fork hits a plate. The laughter that was happening 2 seconds ago just dies. Because every single person sitting there understood exactly what she meant. This wasn't some innocent comment about old friends crossing paths. This was Fergie reminding everyone that she knows things that connect Meghan's past to Andrew's world in ways the family's been trying to bury for years. And get this, she said it with a smile, not angry, not bitter, just calm and deliberate. That's how you know it wasn't a slip. Fergie doesn't slip. Every word that woman says is calculated, timed, and aimed exactly where she wants it to land. This was a direct hit at the weakest point in Meghan's entire story. Those early years before Harry, before any of the fairy tale stuff happened. The thing about that dinner is nobody needed her to explain further. The implication was enough.
Always been so kind to Morgan. In 2018, when the media personality interviewed her on Good Morning Britain, she snapped, "Get a life."
Because in the royal world, perception matters more than anything else. All it takes is the right person saying the right thing at the right time. And Fergie just planted a seed that was going to grow into a full-blown crisis by morning. All right, so let's rewind a few years. Before Meghan ever met Harry, her life looked completely different. Hollywood wasn't paying her bills. She was doing what thousands of other aspiring actors do, taking whatever work she could get. Deal or no deal briefcase girl, hoping someone important would notice. The roles were small, a line here, a background appearance there. Meanwhile, the rent in LA, sky high. She was calling herself a model, taking acting classes, doing everything to keep the dream alive. Eventually, she landed. Suits. Steady income, finally. But cable TV money isn't what people think it is. Here's the thing, though. While those Hollywood doors stayed locked,
Truth seeker or royal saboteur? Every royal household, no matter how polished or perfect,
there were other doors opening. We're talking about yacht parties off the Mediterranean coast private islands. The kind of elite gatherings where Hollywood dreams meet billionaire reality, where someone with the right look and personality could make serious connections. The whispers started circulating pretty quickly. People talking about luxury travel to exclusive destinations, the kind of elite social networking that doesn't happen at regular Hollywood parties. These were expensive trips to the most exclusive places on Earth. The yachts were real, the parties were real, and Meghan was definitely there. She wasn't famous yet, but she was memorable, confident, ambitious, knew exactly how to present herself in rooms full of billionaires. The kind of woman who understood the social dynamics, who never looked out of place, even when surrounded by people worth hundreds of millions.
Sarah Ferguson says she has no judgment as Prince Harry and Meghan Markle make their own way.
The Mediterranean yacht scene is its own universe. During summer months, those waters become a floating network of wealth and influence. Every boat, every island party, every exclusive dinner is another chance to meet someone who could change your life. And the people who navigated that scene knew it. This was strategic, calculated, about building a network that could open doors money alone couldn't touch. Soho House kept coming up too. There were whispers about Meghan being deeply connected to that scene, moving in circles where influential people could make introductions and create opportunities through their social networks. But here's what made Meghan different. She had a plan. Every connection she made, every yacht she stepped on, every powerful person she charmed, it was all building towards something bigger. Because while she was doing small TV roles, she was also building an entirely separate network.
There is absolutely zero doubt in my mind. Rachel Meghan Markle was a semi-expensive yacht girl, and she knows it.
One that didn't show up on IMDb, but mattered way more in certain circles. And those circles overlapped with people who knew royals, who could make an introduction that would change absolutely everything. Now here's where things get really interesting, because Meghan didn't just stumble into royal circles by accident. There was a connector, Marcus Anderson. You probably haven't heard of him, most people haven't. Marcus worked for Soho House as the global membership director, which means he knew everyone worth knowing. He was the bridge between worlds, entertainment, business, royalty, all mixed together. Marcus understood how power really works. He was the kind of guy who could text someone on a yacht in Monaco and have dinner plans set up in London by sunset. And he and Meghan became close, really close. He brought her into his world, opened doors that would have stayed locked otherwise.
I'm not in a position myself to make any judgments. The Duchess of York also says she thinks that Harry's late mother, Princess...
And one of those doors led straight to Sarah Ferguson. Think about that connection. Fergie was the comeback queen who still got invited to the right events. Getting an introduction to Fergie meant access to an entirely different level of society, and Marcus made that happen. Once Fergie took an interest, everything accelerated. Because Fergie had direct access to the princes. She'd been married to Andrew, knew William and Harry since they were kids. But here's where it gets complicated. That same elite social scene. Prince Andrew moved through those circles too. The Mediterranean yacht parties, the exclusive gatherings, the wealthy people hosting these events. Andrew had been part of that world for decades. The Mediterranean summer circuit is smaller than you'd think. The same boats, same ports, same faces, same parties. So you've got Meghan expanding her social network into the yacht world, Marcus Anderson orchestrating introductions.
There are moments in life when silence says more than words ever could. Because while the world looked away, Meghan is reportedly preparing.
Fergie positioned as the perfect bridge. And Prince Andrew, who'd been a fixture in those same elite circles for years. The timeline matters. We're talking about overlapping years where all these people were in the same places at the same times, where paths crossed repeatedly through multiple encounters, multiple parties, multiple trips. Marcus was the spider in the center of that web, connecting threads that shouldn't have connected. Taking a cable TV actress and putting her in rooms with duchesses and princes. Nobody keeps receipts in the exclusive social world. No guest lists for yacht parties. No documentation of who introduced who. It all happens through personal relationships. But the whispers were loud enough. People in those circles saw Meghan at the parties, saw her with Marcus.
Royal family's drama with Meghan Markle and Prince Harry ever end? Another family member wades into the ongoing debacle.
Saw her getting close to Fergie. And they definitely noticed when suddenly she's dating Prince Harry. From yacht parties to royal courtyards, that's a specific path, and Marcus Anderson built the road. So the news from that Mayfair dinner didn't stay in London. By the time the sun came up in California, Harry's phone was already blowing up before breakfast, before coffee. Just buzz after buzz after buzz. And Harry was furious. Deep gut-level rage because this wasn't some tabloid making stuff up. This was family. Someone from inside the royal circle had just lobbed a grenade at his wife. Think about why Harry left Britain in the first place. The whole point of moving to Montecito was to protect Meghan from exactly this. To get away from the whispers, the rumors, the constant scrutiny. And yet, even from thousands of miles away, it found them. The gossip network spread faster than anything.
She's done it deliberately and very carefully. She's cunning.
Oh, guys, Meghan didn't just slip up.
One dinner comment in London became a crisis in California within hours. Harry couldn't escape it. Every notification was another reminder that leaving physically didn't mean leaving the drama behind. And the betrayal hit different because of who it came from. Fergie had been around his whole life, survived her own scandals. If anyone should understand, it was her. But instead of solidarity, she'd chosen to attack. Meanwhile, Meghan went completely silent. Events got canceled, public appearances vanished. No photos, no statements, nothing. And here's what makes that silence tricky. It doesn't actually help. Because when people start saying things about someone and they disappear, people's minds fill in the blanks. The public doesn't see silence as dignity. They see it as hiding, as confirmation.
Well. If it isn't two snakes fighting, because Meghan Markle's past is true.
Every day without a response made the rumor sound more real. Every canceled appearance felt like an admission. When someone won't deny something, the story writes itself. Meghan's PR strategy had always been about control. But this was a situation where nothing she could say would make it better. Denying it too strongly looks defensive. Ignoring it looks guilty. There was no good move, so they chose silence and hoped it would blow over. It didn't blow over, and Harry had to watch it all happen from California, completely powerless to stop it. No matter how many people he called, the story had momentum now. It was out there, growing bigger every day. Meghan stayed hidden while the world talked about her. Harry stayed angry while the gossip spread. And Fergie? She just kept living her life like she hadn't just set their entire world on fire with 7 words.
Finally comes to light. However, Sarah, who is also known simply as Fergie, has decided to defend her ex-husband.
All right, so to really understand why Fergie's comment hit like a bomb, we need to look at 3 separate stories that ended up colliding. And honestly, each one is wild on its own. But together, absolutely insane. Let's start with Fergie's journey. Back in the 80s, she was the fun royal. When she married Prince Andrew in 1986, people loved her. She was different, more outgoing, more relatable, more human. But then came the fall. The toe-sucking photos hit the tabloids in 1992, and that was pretty much it for her royal reputation. She was caught in compromising poolside photos that went everywhere. Just like that, the fun Duchess became the scandal Duchess. The money troubles came next, drowning in millions of debt. She tried everything to dig herself out. Book deals, TV appearances, weight loss endorsements, but she kept going. That's the thing about Fergie.
Well, Meghan's upset plenty of people and possibly embarrassed Prince Harry.
No matter how many times she got knocked down, she found a way back up. The royal family shut her out for years. Not invited to William's wedding initially, left out of major events. They made it clear she was the outsider who'd embarrassed them. But somehow, slowly, she worked her way back in. Started showing up at royal events again, rebuilt those bridges. So by that Mayfair dinner, Fergie had already survived more scandals than most people could imagine. She knew what public humiliation felt like. That experience made her dangerous because she had nothing left to lose and everything to prove. Now let's talk about Andrew. Prince Andrew lived like consequences were for other people. For decades, he floated through life on his royal status, doing whatever he wanted, private jets to private parties, luxury vacations, connections with powerful, wealthy people worldwide. That was his normal. His life was one exclusive event after another.
Now, it's been revealed that Meghan Markle is going to play, wait for it, herself in a new movie close.
The Mediterranean in summer, ski resorts in winter, yachts and parties where the world's wealthiest people came to play away from public eyes. For years, nobody questioned it. That's just what royals did. Andrew was the spare, not the heir, so he got even more freedom. But that lifestyle caught up with him eventually. His friendships with certain controversial people became impossible to ignore. The questions started getting louder, and suddenly his golden years looked a lot more problematic, in hindsight. When Fergie mentioned Meghan and Andrew in the same breath at that dinner, she wasn't just throwing two random names together. She was connecting dots that people in those circles had already noticed, but never said out loud. Because Andrew's world and the yacht party scene overlapped constantly. And then there's Meghan's story. While Fergie was rebuilding her reputation,
the latest headline has the Kardashians deleting photos.
And Andrew was living his private jet lifestyle, Meghan was climbing from briefcase girl to cable TV actress to the yacht circuit to royal engagement. Each step calculated, each connection leveraged. Here's what made Fergie's comment so devastating. It tied all three stories together in a way that made everyone look bad. It reminded people of Fergie's scandalous past and her connection to Andrew. It brought up Andrew's questionable lifestyle, and it linked Meghan's past to both of them, suggesting she'd been part of that same world long before anyone knew her name. Three separate reputations, three different scandals, all crashing together in one dinner comment. But the past never really stays buried, especially not when someone like Fergie decides it's time to start talking.
It is brilliant, isn't it? She's been rehearsing for this role for 44 years to play herself.
Fergie had spent years rehabilitating her own image, then turned around and used someone else's past as ammunition, like she'd forgotten what it felt like to be on the receiving end. Or maybe she remembered exactly, and that's why she knew how much damage she could do. So here's what a lot of people got wrong about that dinner. They assumed Fergie slipped. That maybe she'd had too much wine, got a little loose with her words, and accidentally let something slip that she shouldn't have said. And honestly, that's exactly what she wanted people to think. But listen, Fergie doesn't slip, not like that. Not after everything she's been through. When you've survived the kind of public scandals she has, when you've spent decades navigating royal politics and media storms, you learn to control every single word that comes out of your mouth, especially in rooms full of people who can't wait to repeat what you said. That comment about Meghan and Andrew, it was calculated, deliberate.
Meghan's also my wife's name. Oh.
Is it really? Mm-hmm. Does she spell it with an H?
No. We're poor.
Timed perfectly for maximum impact. She knew exactly what she was doing when she leaned forward and dropped that line. She knew it would spread. She knew it would cause chaos. And she definitely knew it would remind everyone of something they'd been trying to forget. Because here's the thing, Fergie was making a power play. After years of being sidelined, of watching from the outside while the family moved on without her, she'd found her way back into relevance. And that dinner comment was her way of reminding everyone that she still matters. That even without a title, even without official royal status, she could still shake things up just by opening her mouth. Think about what that must feel like. To lose everything, rebuild yourself piece by piece, and then finally get to a point where people listen when you talk.
The film also features Lily Collins, Bry Larson, and Jack Quaid, and it follows two couples where one is famous and the other isn't.
Where one sentence from you can dominate headlines for weeks. That's power, real power. The kind that doesn't come from crowns or positions, but from knowing things and choosing when to say them out loud. And the wildest part, Andrew didn't say anything. Not a word, no confirmation, no denial, no statement through representatives, just complete radio silence. And you know what that silence said to everyone watching? Everything. Because if it was completely made up, if Fergie was just talking nonsense, he would have shut it down immediately. His people would have been all over it within hours. But they weren't. Nobody from his side said a thing, and that silence just made the whole situation worse. It gave the rumor oxygen, made people think maybe there was something to it after all. Because in the royal world, what you don't say matters just as much as what you do say.
Can you relate to what is happening to them?
Well, it's very interesting. I think
Sometimes more. Harry and Meghan tried to move forward. They really did. But something between them had shifted after that dinner comment went public. It's hard to explain unless you've been through it, that weird tension that comes when your private past becomes public property, when strangers are discussing intimate details of your life like it's their business. It wasn't about whether the rumors were true or false. It was about the embarrassment, the exposure, the feeling that no matter how far they ran from Britain, no matter how much distance they put between themselves and the royal family, they'd never actually escape. The tentacles of that world reached all the way to California and dragged their past right back into the spotlight. And then pictures started leaking. Photos that people claimed showed Meghan at some of these yacht parties years ago. Now, were they real? Were they doctored? Were they taken out of context?
Shall we kick off with, I suppose, we want to get onto Andrew and Fergie in just a minute, but
Nobody could say for sure. But they circulated anyway, got shared on social media, analyzed frame by frame, turned into clickbait headlines that wouldn't die. Listen, it didn't matter what those pictures actually showed. What mattered was that they existed at all, that there was visual content people could point to and say, see, that's what makes modern scandals so brutal. Everything lives forever online. Old photos resurface. Deleted social media posts get screenshotted. Nothing truly disappears. For Harry, watching all this unfold must have been torture. He'd given up his royal life, his family relationships, his home country, all to protect Meghan from exactly this kind of scrutiny. And here it was happening anyway. Maybe even worse than before, because now they didn't have the palace machinery to help manage it.
Pinch me, I'm real. See, oh yes. No, I'm from here. I'm from here.
Strangely hairless body you have.
The irony killed him, probably. They'd fled Britain to escape the gossip and the tabloids and the constant invasions of privacy. But Fergie's dinner comment showed that geography didn't matter. The drama followed them because it was never about location. It was about the past, about connections, about stories that refused to stay buried, no matter how much time passed. And Meghan? She had to live with the knowledge that one woman's comment at dinner had unraveled years of carefully built reputation. All the charity work, all the carefully managed interviews, all the efforts to control her narrative gone in 7 words because Fergie knew exactly where to strike to do maximum damage. The relationship strain was inevitable, not because they stopped loving each other, but because trauma bonds people in complicated ways.
To do in these circumstances, not the other way round. We're in charge, not the royal family. We pay for them, they do what we tell.
When you're under attack together, it either brings you closer or tears you apart. And the constant pressure, the never-ending headlines, the feeling that they'd never get to just live their lives in peace, that wears on anyone. Every conversation probably had an undercurrent of tension now. Every public appearance came with anxiety about what people were thinking or saying. Every time Meghan's name came up in the news, there was that split second of dread, wondering what fresh hell was being dredged up this time. That's no way to live. But that became their reality after that Mayfair dinner. And through all of it, Fergie just kept going. Showed up at events looking perfectly content, smiled for cameras, did interviews about her latest projects, like she hadn't just weaponized someone's past, and set off a chain reaction that was still destroying lives weeks later.
So, you and Mike.
I know, it's a lot.
Do you want to talk about it?
Of course I do.
Okay, I think we should start.
That calm exterior wasn't peace, though anyone who knew her could see it. That was satisfaction. That was victory. That was the look of someone who'd just proven they still had power when everyone thought they were irrelevant. So weeks went by after that dinner, and you'd think something this explosive would eventually fade away, that people would move on to the next scandal, the next headline, the next drama, but this one stuck. It lingered in conversations, kept popping up in articles, refused to die down the way most royal gossip does. And through all of it, Fergie never blinked. Not once. She didn't issue an apology, didn't release a clarifying statement, didn't hide away waiting for the storm to pass. She just kept living her life like absolutely nothing had happened. Like she hadn't just detonated a bomb in the middle of the royal family's carefully managed image.
Is Prince Harry unhappy with the LA celebrity life? What's the story behind this Beatrice and Eugenie hug?
Book launches. She was there, smiling for cameras. Charity dinners, front and center, working the room like the professional she'd always been. Royal events. Showed up looking perfectly put together, chatting with people like it was any other day. The audacity of it was almost impressive. But here's what made it even more striking. She wasn't defensive about it. There was no nervousness in her body language, no avoiding eye contact, no signs that she felt guilty or worried about the chaos she'd created. She moved through these public appearances with complete confidence, like someone who knew exactly what they'd done and had zero regrets about doing it. Most people, if they'd caused this level of drama, would at least try to lay low for a while. Let things cool down, give people time to forget not Fergie. She leaned into it, made sure everyone saw her out and about, living her best life.
What if Meghan Markle's real royal scandal isn't what she said, but what she desperately tried to hide at 60?
Unbothered by the consequences her words had created for other people. And honestly, that's what made her so dangerous. Because she proved something that the royal family had been trying to pretend wasn't true. That you don't actually need a crown to matter. You don't need official titles or palace approval to have influence. All you need is the right information and the willingness to use it at the perfect moment. For years, the royals had treated Fergie like she was irrelevant, someone to be tolerated at best, ignored at worst. They'd made her feel like without that royal connection, without that official status, she was nobody. Just another divorced ex-royal who'd embarrassed them and needed to fade into the background. But that dinner proved them wrong. One comment from Fergie did more damage than months of tabloid articles ever could. She showed that she still had power.
On Remembrance Sunday, and obviously one of the most important events in both the royal but also the national calendar, isn't it?
Still had reach, still mattered in ways they couldn't control. And the beautiful thing about it, from her perspective, was that she'd use their own world against them. She'd weaponized the very circles they all moved in. The people who really knew Fergie, who understood how she operated. They could see what was happening. That calm exterior everyone saw at those public events. That wasn't peace. That wasn't someone who'd moved past the drama. That was pure satisfaction. That was the look of someone who just won a game nobody else knew they were playing. Because Fergie had been playing the long game this whole time. All those years of rebuilding her reputation, of slowly working her way back into royal events, of being patient and strategic about her comeback. It was all leading to this. She wasn't trying to be accepted by the family anymore.
Lifestyle became a byword for excess until it all imploded. The Epstein connection, the disastrous BBC interview.
She was reminding them that she didn't need their acceptance to have power over them. Think about the genius of it. She didn't write a tell-all book. She didn't do a bombshell interview. She didn't need any of that. All she had to do was lean forward at a dinner and say 7 words. That's it. 7 words that she knew would spread like wildfire because she dropped them in exactly the right room with exactly the right people listening. And the timing was perfect too. Just when Harry and Meghan thought they'd escaped the royal drama, just when they'd built this new life in California, just when things seemed settled, boom, Fergie reminded them that the past never really goes away, that their connections to that world would follow them forever, whether they wanted it to or not. The victory wasn't just in causing chaos, it was in proving that she was still relevant, still dangerous.
The book has already been released, and the thing is, I'm not going to go down to this point. I'm going to answer your questions, but that's
Still someone who could affect their lives from across the ocean with nothing but her words. She'd gone from being the outcast nobody wanted, around to being the woman everyone was talking about again. And she'd done it without breaking a sweat. What made it even more powerful was that nobody could really challenge her on it. What was she supposed to apologize for? Having a conversation at a private dinner? Sharing observations about people she'd known for years? There was no smoking gun, no recorded interview, just whispered accounts of what she'd said. She had plausible deniability built right in. And while Harry fumed in California and Meghan hid from cameras and the tabloids ran wild with speculation, Fergie just smiled and waved and kept showing up. She didn't need to defend herself because she knew the damage was already done. The seed was planted. The connection was made in people's minds.
Issues. She can't afford to retire, can she, and see out her days in leisure. Is there still a chance?
Her work was finished. That's the thing about reputation destruction. You don't need to keep pushing once you've started the avalanche. Gravity does the rest of the work, and Fergie had given that first push with expert precision, then stepped back to watch it all tumble down. So, yeah, weeks passed. The story evolved and shifted and spawned 1,000 think pieces and hot takes. But at the center of it all was Fergie, unbothered, unshaken, and probably more satisfied than she'd been in years, because she just reminded the entire royal family of something they really didn't want to remember, that the most dangerous person isn't always the one wearing the crown. Sometimes it's the one who used to wear it and learned exactly where all the secrets are kept. So here we are. One dinner in Mayfair, one woman leaning forward with a knowing smile, 7 words that changed everything.
What more can I say? What more can I say?
The biggest.
You can't possibly.
That's all it took to remind the entire royal family that some secrets refuse to stay quiet, no matter how much time passes or how far people run. Fergie's comment wasn't just gossip, it was a masterclass in strategic destruction. She took Meghan's carefully hidden past, Andrew's controversial lifestyle, and her own scandalous history, and tied them all together in a single statement that nobody could ignore. She didn't need anything concrete. All she needed was the right audience and the perfect timing. And the genius of it? She walked away completely untouched. No consequences, no backlash, no damage to her own reputation. If anything, she came out stronger because she proved that relevance doesn't come from titles or official positions. It comes from knowing things and having the courage to say them out loud when everyone's listening. Harry and Meghan tried to escape. They moved to California, stepped away from royal duties, built this whole new life thinking they could leave the drama behind.
Meghan Markle may want to pay close attention to Sarah Ferguson's latest controversy. If there's one thing the
But Fergie's dinner comment showed them something they probably didn't want to face. That you can't outrun your past. Especially not when the people who know that past are still out there, still moving in the same circles, still holding on to information that could destroy everything you've built. The yacht parties, the exclusive gatherings, the connections that nobody talks about publicly. All of it came flooding back with 7 words. Years of careful image management. Gone. Reputation built through charity work and strategic interviews. Shattered. The fairy tale story of the American actress who became a princess, complicated by whispers of a past that didn't fit the narrative, and Andrew's silence through all of this. That said more than any statement ever could. Because silence in these situations isn't protection, it's confirmation.
Andrew Aloni it's called Entitled, The Rise and Fall of the House of York. I've said entitled.
When someone stays quiet instead of denying something, people fill in the blanks themselves. And what they filled in wasn't pretty. Listen, the thing about the royal world is that it runs on secrets. Everyone has them, everyone knows other people's. It's this massive web of information that nobody wants exposed, but everyone uses as leverage when they need to. And Fergie just reminded them all that she's still holding cards they thought she'd thrown away years ago. She doesn't need the family's approval anymore. She doesn't need their invitations or their acceptance. She proved she can create waves from the outside using nothing but her knowledge of their world and her willingness to speak when everyone expects silence. That's real power, the kind that can't be taken away because it doesn't depend on anyone giving you permission to have it. The most dangerous person in any family isn't the one with the most money or the highest title or the best connections.
Developing today, extraordinary claims that Meghan Markle is threatening to sue the British Royal.
It's the one who already lost everything and figured out they've got nothing left to fear. That's Fergie. She burned bright, crashed hard, rebuilt herself, and came back with a very specific kind of strength. The strength that comes from surviving the worst and realizing nobody can hurt you anymore because you've already been through it all. So while London settles back into its polite silence and Meghan stays hidden in California and Harry deals with the fallout of a past he thought was buried, Fergie's out there living her life, smiling at events, doing interviews, showing up at royal functions like she owns the place. Because in a way, she kind of does. Not through title or position, but through knowledge, through history, through the simple fact that she knows where all the secrets live. And she's proven she's willing to dig them up whenever it serves her.
Sarah Ferguson has issued a thinly veiled dig against Meghan Markle during a podcast appearance.
That Mayfair dinner wasn't the end of anything. It was a reminder, a warning, a statement that said, I'm still here, I still matter, and I can still make your life hell if I want to. And she delivered that message perfectly, with a smile on her face and wine in her hand, in a room full of people who couldn't wait to spread what they'd heard. One whisper. That's all it took. One perfectly placed whisper to unravel years of careful planning, to expose connections people wanted forgotten, to prove that in the royal world, the past never really dies. It just waits. And sometimes it waits for someone like Sarah Ferguson to bring it back to life at exactly the right moment. So that's the story, 7 words at a dinner table that exposed years of hidden connections and reminded everyone that in the royal world, your past never really stays buried. If this was wild to you, make sure you're subscribed because, trust me, there's way more where this came from. Drop a comment and let me know what you think about all this, and I'll catch you in the next one.